in. Today, we're going to talk about something that's at the very core of how a business is set up in SAP. We're talking about the fundamental building blocks, the actual blueprint for an entire company, the organizational units.
Just stop and think about this for a second. You've got a massive global company, right? Millions of sales. How on earth do they keep it all straight? How do they stop, say, the sales team in Germany from selling motorcycle parts through a channel that's only supposed to be for direct-to-consumer sales in the US? I mean, it sounds like a recipe for chaos, doesn't it?
Well, the answer is they have a blueprint, a really, really solid digital blueprint. And in the SAP universe, that blueprint is built using something called organizational units. These are the specific pieces that define the entire structure of the company inside the system.
Okay, so how do we actually build this thing? Well, you don't do it all at once. It's built piece by piece, block by block. So to really get the big picture, we've got to start by looking at each of those individual building blocks.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the company code. If you're building a house, this is the plot of land you're building on. It's the absolute foundation. Legally speaking, it's your smallest independent accounting unit, the part of your business that has to create its own balance sheet and profit and loss statements. It's the financial bedrock.
All right, so once you've got your land, you need a sales team, right? That's your sales organization. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like, your main sales department. This is the unit that's in charge of, well, all things sales. We're talking distributing products, negotiating prices, even handling product liability. It's the command center for selling. Okay, so that covers who is selling, but how do the products actually get into the customer's hands? And that is the job of the distribution channel. This is your pathway to the customer. Think of it as your strategy. Are you selling directly to people from your website? That's one channel. Are you selling huge pallets of stuff to other businesses, wholesale? That's a totally different channel. It's all about your go-to market plan. Okay, so we've got the who and the how, but what about the what? What are we actually selling? For that, you need the division. A division is just a way to group your products or services. So a company might have one division for, say, motorcycles, and a whole separate one for spare parts. It just keeps things organized. And last but not least, in our tour of the basic blocks, we have the plant. Now, this is a physical place. It could be a factory in Hamburg making the products, a warehouse in Philly storing them, or even an office building where services get delivered. It's the actual physical footprint of your operations on the map. All right, so we've laid out all our Lego bricks, right? We've got our individual pieces, but they're just sitting there. The real power, the real key that unlocks this whole thing happens when we start snapping them together to create what's called a sales area. And this is where it gets really cool. See, each of these units is important on its own for sure, but the magic, the thing that makes the entire system actually work, that happens when you combine them in a very, very specific way. So, what do you think happens when you take that sales organization, the who, and you combine it with the distribution channel, the how, and then you add in the division, the what? What do you get? You get a sales area. And this is the absolute key takeaway here. A sales area is that unique, specific combination that allows a sales transaction to even happen in SAP. It connects the who, the how, and the what, and basically says, yep, a sale is allowed in this exact context. And this quote from the source material just nails it perfectly. With the help of the sales area, you control the authorizations within sales. It's basically the system security guard, right? It's the gatekeeper that only lets valid sales processes through. But here's the thing. You can't just mash these pieces together however you want. Oh no. There is a strict set of rules, a logic to it all. So let's look at the rules of assembly and see exactly how this structure has to be put together. Okay, let's walk through these rules step by step. First, every single sales org has to be tied to exactly one company code. That's its legal home base. But a single company code can have multiple sales orgs under its roof. That makes sense. Next, your distribution channels and your divisions, both of them have to be assigned to a sales org. And then, when you put that specific trio together, sales org, channel, division, bam, you get a valid sales area. And that sales area is what the system looks at to decide which employees are actually authorized to sell what and how. If that's still a little confusing, here's a super simple way to think about it. Think of each sales area as a unique, valid address.
If a business transaction, like a sales order, comes in, the system checks its address. If it's a valid address, a recognized combination of who, how, and what, it gets processed. If not, the system just says, nope, return to sender.
And there you have it. That's the blueprint, the foundational structure for all sales and distribution inside SAP. It's this logical, hierarchical system that brings order to what could be total chaos. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know the building blocks, take a look at your own organization. Is its blueprint truly built for success?
Have you ever really stopped to think about what